unbeknown situation for them. They were split, and they had so much more viewership on them. They could hit them from multiple angles. Essentially, on North America, once again, knocking the hell out of each other time and time again. These teams do, generally speaking, rotate along the same patch. They get a feel for how things go, and it's sometimes a detriment to the league that you get a little bit more repetitive. It ends up in scenarios like that where you do butt heads. This time around, the two teams, one of them does get knocked out. It is tempo. We're down to 13. Central Road, what I was speaking about during the last two rotations, is still pretty clear. Gen G, they are laughing.
Gen G, as soon as you see that compound, you know it's a stronghold. GEX, again, it's a struggling time for them. They had so much pressure early. They never had time to come in. I thought that was going to be on the other side. I thought Genesis was maybe going to find that, but it was Na'Vi. Good points for them, just slowly building, getting themselves in, working slowly in the southern approach. But the problem is, I feel for me, when you look at Na'Vi, their final boss would be potentially Gen G. I don't know if they can rotate southeast, because you do have the Rumblers down there, and they've been quiet, but they're a deadly team when they start popping off.
Oh, no.
That was the pull-up.
It's a murder. It's an absolute murder.
Look.
And you know what? I will say this. Fair credit for actually holding...
That was one clip.
Yeah, tooth and nail to eliminate them all like that.
That's not safe for broadcast, that sort of stuff. A little bit filthy. Northern side, incredibly compact. The south side gets controlled by Gen G's compound, so it's very hard to play yourself in. That open field is just a safe territory for them. Yes, you can prone in it, but you don't want to be at this point. 13 teams, 45 players, someone's going to spot you. This next circle is going to be incredibly polarizing. North and south, that road is going to divide many of these teams.
2-2 for Na'Vi. These two on your screen currently are outside of the circle. 2 forward, Doozy and Bestalotch. They'll get a better foothold here for Na'Vi if anyone wants to make an aggressive push, like you saw with TSM. Trying to find a good foothold within a circle is so vital and pivotal, which is how they're handling this one now. They'll play spoiler and hold these people back to the blue, try and pick up a few points. Need to be very aware that Nerth is encroaching on this position. Should he overstep his boundaries, Na'Vi will punish him because there's no revive available. Two of his teammates have been held dead to rights on the road just towards the north. GEX has gone. Free point for Na'Vi, job done. Could have opted to give it up to the blue, but not enough time.
The one thing I love, the teams who are currently sat in 3rd and 4th are basically on the same side of the map here. You've got Na'Vi and the Rumblers both waiting in the south. So this could be a huge game for both of these teams. This could be a big jump-up spot. With Tempo Storm down, this could be a nice little move up into 2nd for one of these two. Certainly has room for it if, again, we see a Rumbler big game. That northern side looks like a powder keg waiting to go off. There's so many teams just about staying in this here.
There is a very strong position on this map. And it kind of bumps between, well, to be fair, it's the center of the circle. Gen G, given the fact that they have the God compounds, no one really else has anything strong towards the middle. There are no real areas that you can hide in from a distance, which people will struggle to get towards you when you talk about attacking a compound. They've got Loki, who's disconnected from the team as well, to hold the little mini compounds down and further afoot. I'll hold for now because Vendetta, unfortunately, the punishment just keeps on going two back-to-back like that.
Look at Purdy Curdy's positioning. Look at Luke 12's positioning. They still held the edge of this valley of death for Vendetta at the moment. The push still continues. Luke 12 at the helm of this, and there must be something bittersweet about it for him. But Critical on the other side could be in real danger, trying to pull away. Edge with the off angle. Oh, big turnaround with the headshot. That AK coming in paramount for him.
They're not punishing him, though, Lauren. He's got no health. They should be going up there to end his rampage.
Back. Look at Critical's position. They can't push. He'll see them. And there it is. Purdy Curdy receives punishment, but he outdoes his opponent. Now Edge still alive, going to wrap the hillside, try and find an angle. Uncivil aware and does the better job. It's going to be Lazarus surviving, and Vendetta falls down in 12th.
Mentioned a problem that may occur here for Genesis. Hitchwind did go down, but they've got him on the feet. The problem is they are completely miles away from this one. STV, they've gone for the pull-up. They can't get inside. The grenades are there. Turtle has absolutely no health whatsoever. And if Na'Vi push this, well, they're dead, done, and dusted.
Turtle is just about alive. It's by a prayer at this point. Aduzi going to go on the wrap, trying to find that next angle to ensure he can't back away from this, can't get that revive. And he's caught up God. He didn't expect to see the Bush Wookie there, but Aduzi does what Aduzi does. Deals with it well. 4 kills already, 4 players alive. And Na'Vi starting to come alive here. They've taken over the bigger part of the Gen G compound as well.
Because they've moved forward. That's fantastic work. To consolidate like that and get yourself... It's a smaller area to deny, but you can't approach it. Without approaching in a vehicle, there's no way to attack those buildings. And because at the front and back side, you have the road, it's completely open, it's completely sparse. It's going to be a difficult one. When you look towards a hangar where Na'Vi is, it's extremely open from multiple angles of attack. I really want to touch on Aduzi's play, though, to push that so aggressively, to deny anyone a chance to either get a res, get back to full health. It's fantastic work because you know you have your friends in the back who are with you to get the revive if needed.
And you can see Aduzi. I love the way he's watching this. One, he's keeping tab on the middle minimap there, checks back down, checks on towards everything that he can, keeps in mind everything that's going on. But then he's also watching the skyline, see if anyone's silhouetting towards the top side of that hill, see if anyone's over there, checking again the direction. Obviously on a player's screen you have, you know, the north, east, south. It's got the numbers on it. He's pushing it now. This is all good gameplay. Genesis making the mad run for it. Smoke wall is up. Can it save them?
Goes down in the smoke. There'll be no more to essentially get him a dead man running. They're still outside of the wide, and when they come off the back of this, they have Entus force to deal with. I don't really know how many smokes they've got left in the tank, Lauren. That's a lot committed, and that's a helmet missing off H-Win as well.
That shot on the cross was absolute filth. Nerf's going to try and get back down to cover. I don't know if that's going to... Those smokes are fading. K-Mind. He's a brave man to go for this. I think he might be just safe. Well, we'll find out in about 2 seconds.
It's here. It's hungry.
Sure, he's a lucky boy, Nerf. Run, boy, run. You are lucky to be alive. And Genesis, where's the cover? Where can they go? Where are these headshots coming from? Taemin, it's an animal.
No, they're all dying and they're all dead. No health, no helmet. And no more Genesis in the server, unfortunately.
Aduzi's making a quick play up as well towards Genesis here. He's already trying to get the foot in towards the next position. We do see that northern fight continuing and beginning even further with Lazarus starting to try and control the north, trying to get some territory they need it. And they're only down to 3, but you can see Purdy Curdy instantly looking at these hillsides. Where is that next player going to come from? Where's that next position going to be threatened? Because he doesn't have the full image. You can see when the players have full info or when they don't, and that's him just trying to keep in mind who's around them. Look how passive they're being. They're trying to get the heals off. They're trying to get themselves somewhat safe here, but it's not easy.
Just so you're aware, in the back, Entus Ace is setting up a really good position and using vehicles to give themselves a bit of a roadblock. They're inside a crevice of a river, which basically stops anyone coming across the road and approaching them from one side. And then they can let the rest of the teams look up the hill towards Entus Force. Lazarus, who at the moment, by the way, are on a bit of a tear. That's another team gone at the hands of them. Sun Sisters do need to make an approach. Lazarus doesn't need to bite off more than they can handle here, Lauren, because there's 2 teams waiting.
But they have a nice piece of high ground. You really want to exploit that. You want to get these points, and they're going to. As long as they don't overpeak. Alo needs to be really careful to not overdo this, because that's a headshot that could come through. Backs away, stays alive, but barely.
Entus Force is moving on Entus Ace's position.
Genji just got a knock. Hold on, Navia moving in towards Genji. This is the Battle of the South going off as well. Aduzi leading the charge at the forefront for his side. The nades start to rain in, and Genji need to be prepared for the CIS storm that's coming their way.
Senya's going for the off angle, but he might be too little too late.
He's going!
The hour at the doors, gets himself stuck in. Sunshine needs to get this knock now. In the background, Sun Sisters are going down. There's a big Mansa fights just going on in the north and the central. We have Entus Force versus Entus Ace, but now B, they need to get Genji out of this if they want to get across that road.
Time is ticking, Blues moving in. They've got to keep that in mind, and they know they've got a countdown on this. Genji can disengage. It looks like they might be considering it. Loki might just take them down. He might try and just be the knife in the back to slow Na'Vi, to stop them rotating. Senya considering an off angle. Can he maybe catch them on the way out? Bestlosh, Pokemolodoi, back on their feet. It's time to move. It's time to make the play.
Loki's just lobbed the nade out. Whether it does any damage or not, it's a different question altogether. They stuck the res to get the 4 men back on the feet, but they can't really get the heal off out the window. Loki sees one. That was Senya. That was the off angle that he was supposed to hold for this entire time. But now, that actually gives Genji a point to move if they want to do it. There's an avenue of approach towards that road.
Though can still be the final line on this. He's going to find Aduzi. He's going to find Bestaloch. And Genji stay alive.
And all that comes off the back of removing 1 man. Getting Senya off of your backside opens up the door, lets them out of the building, and they just slap Na'Vi on arrival.
Okay, here's the northern battle. You have Entus Force, northwest. High ground, pretty nice, good position. Middle of it all, Lazarus. Fighting everything they can. Hyper-aggression to their east, VC. And then you have a couple of, players still remaining. Sun Sisters still have 1. You do have the Rumblers. Slow building in the southeast. But look at Entus. Look at the other teams. They're spread out already in the southern side. Genji are going to have a very tough battle getting across that road. The team playing the ditch has full awareness of this.
So Genji is going to be battered, but not fully broken yet. They are down a few men. It's going to be a difficult approach across that road, you would assume, unless some kind of god maneuver or god headshot comes through, that they're dead. Once you hit that road, you have all 4 members of Ace staring them down. We move across more towards the northern side of the map. The Rumblers 4 up as well. Rainey's down here from Entus Ace. He's disconnected from the rest of the team just to keep an eye on them. That's very clever for now. But it's whether or not the other teams want to make an approach. Honestly, I feel that Rumblers just play cleanup duty here and just mop up all the remnants of who's left over from these 3 fights, which could kick off at any time.
Rumblers, they terrify me, these boys. They're such underdogs the way they scrap. They're a scrappy team. Even though they're in 4th, they're still a scrappy side. They're playing from literal low ground. Entus Ace do find Genji as they make the move, or at least one of them. That's not surprising, but Lazarus catching out VC might be a little bit of a shocker there. Lazarus are playing dirty up in the north. They're holding that high ground. They waited as long as they could, but look who just jumped in their spot.
Really quickly, I want to touch on something else which might just happen here. Entus Force has flooded the valley, absolutely flooded the valley, and Entus Ace has to rally. They're also moving towards the Rumblers. We have 2 fights on 2 different fronts. Ace, Rumblers down south. Force have just wrapped. Good catch on that one. Lazarus could have caught them off guard, so they must have seen them.
I think it's slow info. They must have just found out that Lazarus was still up here somehow, and they didn't go on the eastern wrap. Rumblers were waiting for it, but this could be a huge clash. This is 2 teams in the north, and you got the 2 in the south. Good luck, observers. I don't envy you right now. Entus Force about to find Lazarus. The battle begins. Cherry Poppins, he's not moving for the life of him. Entus Force! Sweep through Lazarus.
Instance, all 3 players back to back to back. Job done. Now you can turn and face. Get your players back off the floor. And watch the next fight that will unfold. The Rumblers, if they can keep 4 alive to go up against Entus Force, this could be a spicy game for them.
But the push on the low ground's happening. You can see it. You can see the push on the low ground. That's to try and keep Cherry Poppins, Microfy, all of them humble. But I'm looking to see where the Rumblers take this. They have such a cornered position. They have to fight their way out. OG and Entus can just kind of play this, not necessarily... I guess Entus Force, if you look in the north, can play this however they want. They have high ground. As long as they keep smart cover on the terrain, they're somewhat safe. This battle is far from safe, though. Look at that play already from the Rumblers, finding these filthy little angles that are just going to infuriate the other side.
The Rumblers have to play quick here and deal with them. Because while every second they stay down south, Entus Force regroups on them and rallies in the north.
Lost HG is already moving center, though. I like this.
That.
Slow creep towards the northern side. Try and get central point. I don't mind that at all.
And for good reason. Force is just cresting all angles of the circle. Once you've dealt with this fight down south, you've got to turn and face. Microfy and Lost HD disconnect from the pack. That's great for them. Keep a track of what's going on, see if they can get any line of sight, because Entus Force will not shoot here. They will not give away their position whatsoever, unless they can find an easy kill, which they do. And the rest of the team, it rallies and will face them.
But you've got to give credit where it's due towards Entus Force. But the way they're holding is that kind of 2-man hit squad in the middle, the ones that will happily take the fight, and the outskirts watchers. You have 2 players watching the east and the west, ensuring no one can creep up on them or go for those kind of cheekier flanks on the outskirts. That's what the Rumblers are looking for. If they find a weakness, if they find a knock, then it's game back on.
Initial shots will be laid down. Force and Ace knocking each other.
Oh. That's almost the goer. That's what you're waiting on. You're waiting on a knock, otherwise you can't fight them. Again, the Rumblers cannot move until this circle closes, or they clear out Entus Ace in the south.
I'm a little bit concerned that they are staying too hyper-focused on the 2 free points that are down here. Essentially, they could give it up and it'll be a waste of time. I do understand why they need to do it, because once this circle moves, they could run up and stab them in the back. Microfy's position and Lost HD to kind of get a defensive stance and keep a track of what's going on. But Entus Force has wrapped from north to west. They have completely repositioned, and they might actually sweep up these points in the back.
Yeah, but here we go. That is very bad for the Rumblers. That is a big loss to start with. Trade comes back in. Lost HD got knocked in the meantime. This is looking very bad for the Rumblers. We're down to 2 teams here. Microfry doing what he can. Central point holds it down as best he could. But now you see the rest folding in. Entus Force sweeping through, but Microfry given a chance. Would you really want to give him a chance in this? Because now it's just 3 standing. Can he isolate the 1v1s? Can he exploit them? No! They hold the line and they hold the win.
From coming into this in 15th place, that's exactly what Entus Force needed. 18 points in total will do wonders when they only had, unfortunately, a mere 5. We've seen before, hell, through groups. Tempo Storm, they have 2 16th places and a 15th. It's not over until it's over. And that will do so much for their momentum and so much for the points on the board.
You are 100% spot on. We were looking at some of the teams that had to start maybe finding kills, finding placement, ideally finding both. And I'd say Force was one of them. I wanted to see them step up a little bit here. Miramar suited them well. They delivered when it was required. They held that northern territory comfortably, didn't overextend. I got worried if they were going to push one.